Last month, we reported on the ongoing opioid and fentanyl crisis in this country. Nearly 110,000 Americans died from overdoses last year. That number shows a plateau after 2 years of sharp increases, but it is still staggeringly high. Right now, fentanyl continues to ravage communities across the U.S. These headlines on your screen are from around the country, and they are all from the last 48 hours alone. Here to help us get smarter and hopefully safer on this terrifying topic, Dr. Joseph Lee, President and CEO of the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation, which is the largest nonprofit provider of addiction and mental health care in this country. These are really scary numbers, and they are coming at us at a time when it feels like it is in every town, and not just, street heroin with what one would picture as a hardcore drug addict. These are fathers, mothers, teenagers. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think you raised such a good point, Stephanie. We have to disavow the notion that addiction and drug use that's problematic and causing these deaths happen in parts of town that we see in the movies. They are happening in all of our communities, affecting lots of people, affecting minority populations disproportionately. And we've seen the evolution of this from prescription pills to heroin like 10 years ago. But the economics around drug trading has really changed and become sophisticated. And the drugs are more potent and deadly than ever before. Fentanyl, a little bit goes a long way. People really don't get second chances if you make a mistake on fentanyl. And so you're seeing a lot of people who would use other substances. They might have a bad day, they might overdose and recover. And now they're not rebounding as much because the substances are so deadly.
But that's the thing. So what drugs could have fentanyl in them, right? When you go even out in the suburbs, right, people are taking more and more psychedelics. People are using edibles. And then you hear fentanyl. What is it actually in?
Well, fentanyl is cut into a lot of different substances. And so the way the drug market works is that the basic principles of economics govern drug trade. People will cut substances into other substances to make more profit. And so fentanyl gets cut into sedatives like Xanax and other drugs. And so many young people or older people, doesn't matter what age you're at, you think you might be using some other kind of chemical, but you're actually using fentanyl. And so it's not as if people are just trying to use fentanyl on purpose, though some people are because they're really addicted to opioids and they're in a desperate situation. But a lot of people are overdosing on accident because they don't know if they've ingested it, or they assume that they are taking a different kind of substance only to find out too late.
So what do we do? Right? Because there's all sorts of people taking those kind of drugs.
Yes, we can do a lot. This is going to require a multifaceted solution. You got to look at all levels of care, prevention, supply side management. And so everything from testing strips so that people who are using know that their substances are not tainted by something. And there's a lot of bureaucratic barriers that make it hard for those testing kits to get into the right hands right now. Narcan being available so that if people are overdosing, you can reverse it. Better access to treatment. Educating families, and so that we lessen the stigma that we have about addiction, because we sometimes don't want to look at it head on because of a lot of the things that happen that are unfortunate with addiction. And we also have to address the really complicated economy that has blossomed around this drug trade. It is very different than what people saw in the movies a decade or two ago. These are highly sophisticated enterprises, foreign national companies with laboratories, and there's a lot of supply side management happening. The White House drug policy director, Dr. Rahul Gupta, talks about this very elaborately. This is not about locking people up into prison, but disrupting supply chain, disrupting financial incentives, tracking packages with technology. There are a lot of things that we can do, and we need all of these tools together to keep people alive, give them access to treatment, to have a non-judgmental stance as a culture. And it's going to require all those solutions and more.
Okay, I'm almost afraid to ask you this, and I'm in no way advocating or promoting the use of drugs. But I want you to talk to parents of teenagers, college kids. Should parents start to think about sending our kids off to college with those fentanyl testing kits?
It depends on the risk pool, of course. You should educate your kids about the risks of using various substances, that what they are using may not be what they're actually taking in. It's not like they have to carry testing kits all the way around. But the most important thing that a parent can do if you're sending your kid off to college, for example, is to build a token of trust. And your relationship with your child is the most protective, positive factor that you can control. And having that bridge is capital in the bank that you will draw from later on. And so they will communicate with you and ask you for help, and so you can have open conversations. And that's really the start.
But won't it be too late?
Now, if you're
you were just saying, like, this is happening to people by accident. Won't it be too late? As a preventative measure, would it make sense for people to start doing things like having testing kits?
Yeah, I think having Narcan around houses, especially if you have a high-risk home, if you have a lot of addiction in your household, that's a great idea. I think testing kits should be more widely available for people, but not everybody has to carry them around. And you really have to take an inventory of the risk that your child has, your family has, and you really have to build the relationship, provide the right kind of education. And if your child is using substances, even if they're a young adult, you have to take a non-judgmental stance. I see a lot of families. I've seen thousands of families across the country at the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation. And many family members go through normal human flavors when their loved one is using substances. They feel shame, blame, they might be in denial. There's a lot of moralistic judgment that comes along. And those are the things that we have to quiet. We have to look in the mirror and say, we want to build the right foundation, the right relationship. Talk to your young person and say, hey, if you are at risk, I am somebody who is safe to talk to. I am a support for you. And these are the kinds of helpful measures that we can take. And so there's a lot of things that individual families can do to mitigate that risk.
We don't need shame. We need more love. Dr. Joseph Lee, thank you so much for being here tonight.